Hi, everyone, and welcome to today's interview. My name is Lasse Joergensen, and I work as a coach and a mentor. I have a background in psychotherapy, social work, all kinds of entrepreneurships. I've been working in the fashion industry. I've been working with kids, music productions, all kinds of business startups, and most recently, a video production company. Today, I'm going to be interviewing Reena, and I'm really excited to hear more about her whole life journey. The journey as being an entrepreneur, starting her own consulting company, working with executives, and now also releasing a book. So let's dive into it. Hey, Reena,
Hi,
how are you doing?
I'm doing great, Lessa. Thank you. How are you?
It's awesome being here with you again. Please give us an introduction, a little bit about you and your company.
Oh, thank you, Lessa. Well, likewise, I think I've loved connecting with you, Lessa. You've um, just your own journey yourself, and what you shared has been just so beautiful. I think your own background and all the things that you're doing with your company and on the side. Congratulations. That's just even going outside of the box and using all your skill sets in different ways. I mean, that's great. Congratulations.
Thank you.
About myself, I'm originally from Edmonton, born and raised. I have been, I was thinking about this Lessa the other day. I have officially lived half my life here in Calgary and half my life in Edmonton, which is just Calgary. I moved here in 2001 after I graduated, and it was literally supposed to be like a 1 year project. And I smile because it was like, okay, contract, work, yeah, we'll give it a year. But at that time, um, all of our entire families lived in Edmonton. That was our comfort zone, that was home. So moving out here was a huge, like it was a huge opportunity. And 1 year has now turned to 23. Can't believe how fast
Wow.
time goes. Yeah.
Have you always been an entrepreneur, or like is that something that you had from early on, like even from your parents?
You know, I actually started it's a good question because Agilis started because of my father. So, Lessa, my parents, it's you hear about the immigrant story, the immigrant journey to Canada, and they
Hmm.
immigrated from their hometown in India, in Punjab. My father's from Hoshiarpur, my mom's from Amritsar, and young, married, keen. It was the 70s, and Canada became home for them. Um, and so I think what I saw with my dad's journey is, he's smart and tried to educate himself in the Canadian system, but there were a lot of challenges. There were a lot of challenges for people who spoke English as a second language, and racism was continues to be a challenge, I think, for people of visible minority, and so it was hard for him to want to be able to have the confidence to gain all the opportunities he could for his Canadian dream. So he had an entrepreneurial spirit because he technically took whatever roles he could. He was so motivated to succeed and he was so passionate about working in Canada that he never stopped. Like Les said, there was a point in time in his career journey where he was working 3 jobs, so about 20 hours a day. And, a lot of those, he calls them sacrifices, but we understood as children that he was doing the best he could for us. And this was
Yes.
his dream. This was his dream, and he was trying the best that he could, but he never gave up. So, Agilis was born out of COVID. It was a dream I had. It was an entrepreneurial, I'm going to say it was a second business. The first one I tried when I stayed home with my son back in 2012. He was very young, and I had to change the pace at which I was working, and he needed me, and he was only 2 at the time. So I thought, okay, I have to shift gears and try something different. So I launched a company back then, Novus HR. Um, Novus is Latin for new. And it was the first time I took all
Mm-hmm.
my background from human resources and consulting, and I'd worked with predominantly legal firms at that point. And it was the first time, I think, in 37 years that the Alberta Employment Standards Code was changing. They were updating it. And so I took an opportunity to launch my own consulting company and work with individual law firms to update their guidelines and their policy books and deliver them. It was,
Mm-hmm.
it worked. But during, I had to shut that down. I think we had a different dream, different path. It was devastating. I'm not going to lie. When I went back to the workforce as an employee and had to shut down Novus HR, it was almost like giving up a child. I thought, why would I do that? I needed more time. I needed more momentum. I was still learning. So when you're an entrepreneur, everything, it takes time. And at that point, I also, Lessa, I needed confidence. I think I needed the confidence to believe that I could do it too. And I used to watch my father lack that every time, but he never made his circumstances an issue for him. Like he never became a victim of them. He always overcame that. So I used to think about that a lot. So
Mm-hmm.
2020 COVID came and I thought, you know what? I'm going to do this again. I'm going to try it a little bit different and have more experience. And I thought I have to brand myself so that it's memorable. What is it about what I do? Where can I bring my strengths? Still do the work and great work with clients, but how can I do it in a different way? And I liked writing. Like Lessa, it was at that point, it was very therapeutic for me to write, to journal. So I thought on the side of my business, what if I did some storytelling? Um, I thought about my father a lot and how, he never felt that he had the title. He never felt that he was an executive, that, you know, the success wasn't there for him in the way he wanted it. So I started thinking, but how do we measure success? I personally never saw myself as different, from yourself or from anyone that I was approaching. So I felt that in honor of him, if I launched this company and launched this storytelling piece, I would meet with different executives around the world, not knowing who they would be, but to showcase how similar we all were, and that a title or a pay grade or a branded company or a logo doesn't make us different. And it was to honor the journey my father had because these executives loved his journey. And what called
Mm-hmm.
them to say, yes, Reena, write about us. We want to be a part of your storytelling idea was the fact that his own journey was so profound for them.
Wow. Yeah. And why? But why even like executives? Like what?
Why executives? That's a great question. You know why specifically? At that point, Lessa, I was 20 years into my career. So I had met so many individuals who were changing course in life and in their professions. They wanted to try something different. They wanted to do something different. They thought, okay, maybe we should go become entrepreneurs. Everybody seemed that everyone I was meeting at that 20-year mark, of corporate professional work felt that they wanted to be or do something different in life. Like it was almost like a soul calling. And I was going through that as well. I was on the same path and I was making a lot of personal changes and a lot of decisions at that time. I thought, isn't this interesting? We're all, those of us who were born, um, in the 70s. So we're now in our mid 40s, early 50s. Um, Specifically, I'm going to say to immigrant parents, we what we encountered was very different because we were kind of stuck in two worlds. And I don't say this in a bad way, but what I mean by this is we honored our parents' journey from their country and honored their traditions and their values and their, culture. But we also saw their struggle. And in a way, it actually affected us as their children to watch the struggle in
Yes.
that way.
Yeah.
So we were Canadian. We were born Canadian. So the color of our skin was made very aware to us that we were different. I never thought I was different until I was told I looked different. So our parents encountered that, and us, despite being born and raised in Canada, we were also kind of stuck between the two worlds of encountering that as well. So here we're, I'm talking about as a collective community, but here we are 20 years into our careers, and many of us are saying, you know what? I need to do something different. So, to answer the questions why executives, at that point, I felt that I had worked 20 years with executives in professional services, in this executive world where we have fancy titles, fancy logos, and these individuals were unhappy to some degree. A lot of the coaching that I did, they wanted to do something different. So I thought, what if I went and met with different executives locally across Canada? I had no idea, Lessa, that it would become North American and then off to Europe and then off to Australia, South Africa, Brazil. I had no idea. But there was a common theme I was finding the more I ventured out to meet with executives was 20 years or less, 20 years or less of experience. There was always a challenge. There was always an obstacle. We had similar obstacles. And we wouldn't know this unless we asked. We see their bios and we see, oh, okay, let's talk to this individual. But you don't really know what people go through and how closely connected our personal and professional lives can be until we talk to
Yes.
people. So I wanted to highlight that if you want to work with someone or if you want someone in your professional community or even in your personal community, it's actually great to go out there and find out more about them in a more personal way because you'll see things that they had to overcome, that my father had to overcome, that not many people knew about. And it gives you a different appreciation about their journey and their success and how they measure it as well. So it's not how
Exactly.
much money you make, right? So,
So I kind of see it as kind of like a wish for you to meet with the real person underneath all of the success, all of the labeling, or the fancy logos of the company. Seeing the real, authentic people, the genuine people beneath all of that. From a worldly perspective, we think that we should not share that, but that's not true. It's the more that we're sharing in an honest way, the more people you will attract because people are looking for authenticity.
right,
That's why we're watching movies. That's why we are listening to music. That's why we are in a relationship. We want to unveil the real in us.
right. You're absolutely right. You know what I realized, Les, and it wasn't until I actually ventured out and wrote these stories that's now becoming a book. Um, I realized I was living two parallel lives. My professional one, which was significantly growing. I put all of my energy into that. I valued, my intellect and my experience and everything I was bringing. I valued that about me. So I had the confidence to continue to persevere professionally. Um,
Yes.
but I had a very different personal life. So I was completely living two very different lives. In my personal life, I was losing myself. I was losing, the energy that I brought that I knew was within me. I wasn't surrendering. I wasn't adopting a surrendering to the energy that was so, I think, potent in me to want to be authentic and be myself. And I couldn't. I couldn't find myself. So I focused everything on my professional world. And personally, I focused
Hmm.
everything on, the roles that I had in life that I had to play, the relationships in my life. Um, but what I wasn't focusing on was what was making me happy. And so I call it soul pain. Soul pain is probably the most painful experience people can go through because it calls you at a different level. And if you don't fix it, you can continue. I could have continued being successful everywhere professionally, but my personal life, personally, was so connected to me professionally, I wasn't meeting it. So these stories, these journeys, what I learned about these professionals was wow, Their personal professional life was so interconnected. They were unafraid of sharing authentically that, Reena, this is what I encountered. Nobody would know that unless we had shared their story. And yet they were so successful. What I appreciated about them was that they were so in tune with who they were professionally and personally that they were able to work through and navigate both lives into one. And I needed to do that. But I knew,
Yes.
but I knew for me to do that, I had to also accept loss. And I think that that was the fear that was preventing me from completely making a decision. Was I just knew that if I also connected my personal professional life through this entrepreneurial venture, I would lose people along the way that I loved. But maybe that's what I had to do because I had to love myself. I lost myself.
Yes.
I didn't know how to love myself.
That success doesn't need to be a Ferrari, a big house, a lot of big parties. And early on in my journey, many years ago, I thought that, oh, it would be great to be, become rich and, have all these things. But then later on in life, I realized that success is really all about being the, the true you and finding your own purpose inside.
Yes.
That's I think that's basically what we're all looking for. So as you said, instead of you maybe compensating with creating this professional role where we look successful and we get some kind of appreciation from the outside, then we can actually let go of that and become more genuine and real and finding more of a true path from within, and then build a business from there, or maybe not doing anything business related. But I think that's really that's really what we're all looking for. It also opens the door to pain because a lot of fear, a lot of emotions, because we cannot do the same things as we used to do by having this professional role. Now it's more like, who am I? Like, how can I show the real me? And that that can be quite a painful process in the beginning, just to let go of all these patterns and identities that we've been carrying.
Right. I was in a marriage for 20 years, and my now ex-husband and I, we ventured to Calgary together. We started our entire lives together here. So
Wow.
it was significant. Again, our 1 year project turned into 20. But I think what also happened along the way was we were, again, we were carrying a lot of pressure to succeed from watching our parents' journey.
Yes.
So, of course, our parents spent all this time and love and energy in raising us to be successful, sending us to university, making sure that we had everything that they couldn't have in Canada. So, that pressure to be able to do that for them was immense. And again, my ex and I, we were young. Um, we came here with absolutely nothing. We lived in, I still remember our first apartment. Lessa, we were living on the C train tracks on 8th and 8th in Calgary. And we had no idea. We didn't know Calgary. We thought, oh, this is a nice apartment. Great. And I remember sitting there, and I have this memory. It's so vivid. It's 2001, and we're sitting, and I remember saying to my ex, like, where do you see yourself 20 years from now? I said, 20 years is a lifetime. So we were both feeling, again, pressured. We were getting married. Life was ahead of us, and there were so many things we just had to check mark and do. And I remember we both talked about a dream home. We said, okay, we're going to build a dream home, and this is what it's going to look like, and this is what we're going to do. And together we'll do that. And let's fast forward 20 years. Um, it did happen. We we never lost sight of the long-term goal, but the journey there was so hard. It's life. Everyone has their ups and downs, but it was so hard because my soul, my heart knew that this was so important to him, and not the physical brick and mortar, but for him to feel that he was successful, how he could measure success within himself. As a partner, I certainly wasn't the reason for his success, but my role was to make sure that he never forgot that he could do it. And so
Hmm.
to get there along the way, I think I forgot that I could too. And
I see. Yeah.
that was that's the pain point. And I don't regret any decision I've made. I think that people should love authentically as well. And if you're in a partnership, you have to bring the best of yourself and love the person in the way that they need to be loved.
Hmm.
Um, and because I changed, I couldn't bring that to a partnership, and he deserved that. So,
Hmm.
those realizations, it's been a tough couple of years.
If you knew 20 years ago what was coming, like, you know, thank God we didn't know what's coming, because life is a stretch. It will be, no matter if you're successful or not, or having a career or not, like, life will always be challenging, but we can just learn from those challenges. And the faster we learn, and the more willing we are to let go and learn, the the easier the journey will be, because then we are kind of flexible within our way of relating to ourselves and the world, and even a business or a job. More like being a ninja in the world, in a way that you know how to move, you know how to fight, you know, the basically the conditions of the world, but you don't need to be the world, so to speak. So to move from a more like free open space within, and just be willing to learn.
Absolutely. And I think embracing the pain, right? The pain of knowing that it's okay to change your mind. It's okay to make a decision that puts you first, um, and
Yes.
in a way also puts someone else first. I don't know, Lessa. I can't keep apologizing for a decision I made almost 5 years ago. It hasn't changed. It won't. If it was going to, it would have by now. Um, but I do look at the last 20 years and I honor that in the best way that my heart can. And I need to focus on the future. I have got this, I get these butterflies because 2024 was going to be a huge year. I knew the book was going to be out. I was excited to make an impact. When I chose Make a Wish Foundation, I was so excited. I was so thrilled and just so humbled that I could bring this to the table with the world and ask for support in making a difference for children with critical illnesses who likely won't be able to share their stories the way that they're written in the book. But what we could do is we could honor their journeys by making their wishes come true. It's so simple. And so these executives at 20, they feel so proud to be a part of that movement. And so just being in this year, and even personally, Lessa, like I just know that this is it. Like this is the year where everything happens that I feel like I've worked. The last 5 years have been so hard, but this is the year that everything falls into place. And I'm so excited about it. I don't really know what's ahead, but I know that there's something so profound in so many ways that I can't wait to get there.
Oh, that's amazing. Yeah, it seems like you're really at the right place at the right time in your life. That's my sense.
Well, the book is being worked on. We have a publisher who's graciously agreed to publish the copies, put it together for us. And that's taking some time, getting the right photos and how the structure of the book should look. So it's going to take some time, but we've started, collecting names and um, individuals who are interested in purchasing. So we're making a bit of a, list that once the book is ready, we're going to send it out to whoever wishes to purchase.
Yeah. And the book is basically that's the journeys of the executives that you've been working with, interviewing?
Absolutely. There were just the 20. I mean, there's a lot of at least wonderful people that I've had, the pleasure of working with the last almost 5 years. But these 20 are special because it was during COVID. It was a time where we could showcase to the world that despite us all shutting down, the world isn't actually as large as we think it is. We could get on Zoom, we could get to know people without ever having to meet them. And what humbled me about these individuals was they were so open to sharing. I didn't even know what I was walking into. When you start storytelling about, tell me about your childhood, tell me about your journey along the way, they were so open and authentic and real and raw that I felt like I needed to honor this in a way. It's one thing to share the story out with the world and put it on my website, but I always knew I needed to honor them for being so vulnerable because that type of leadership, Lessa, that's courageous. It inspires teams, people that look up to you as mentors or role models. It inspires them to want to share their journey and heal. It's very healing as well.
Yes. And was it easy for them to say yes to be part of this book, or?
It was. Not one
Yeah.
executive hesitated, and they showed me the same gratitude and excitement that they showed me when I first approached them over the last 4 years. I just remember, I'd like to write about your journey. Let me tell you a little bit about mine. It's based on my father. I need to honor him for a number of reasons. And would you be willing to support this idea? It was an idea, Lessa, that I had no idea would go global. I just wanted to write because I like to journal. So everyone is pretty excited and just they're feeling so humbled as well.
Hmm. So yeah, it seems like you really acted to an idea that just came to you, basically, like out of your own curiosity or your own um, creativity.
It did, Lessa. It was something that I wouldn't have been able to do if I didn't have the confidence and if I didn't believe in myself. And I spent years lacking the confidence and believing in my creativity and my ability to innovate. And I saw it, I should say, in that professional life I was living. I'd see it, I'd be able to execute in a professional sense. And in personal life, I was able to do it through my children. Through the roles that I was playing, I saw that I was being
Mm.
successful. But I just knew that if I stayed where I was in the type of family unit and what I was doing, I would not be able to use the best of my creativity and innovation. Again, I have no regrets, and I think that this was the path I was meant to take, and I'm happy with it today.
What I hear you say is that there was just a longing to become more authentic, more real, with the true you inside, and showing that to the world.
Yeah,
It's, yeah.
I couldn't do it, Lessa. I my children, my daughter is so gifted, and she used to say to me, "Mom, you have so much potential. I can see you're using it at work. Why are you not coming out of your shell?" Like my children were noticing that I was just a little bit more reserved in a different way as a mom, as a wife, daughter,
Hmm.
every role. And so I thought if they can really pick up on who I want to be and who I need to be, I'm doing them an injustice, a disservice by not becoming the person that they want to be able to see me become. Um, I also felt disingenuous to all the relationships in my family because I wasn't really present. I wasn't really there. I wasn't um, able to offer the best of myself to any relationship personally in my life. I had to learn to love myself again, and it's an everyday thing. I'm learning to love myself every day. But it was realizing that I had to learn to love myself again That is profound. That's the moment where you believe, okay, something has to change and loss is going to happen and grief is going to hit you, but 20 years is a lifetime and people are meant to change. Love is supposed to change. You can't stay where you don't belong.
Hmm. And what was that one moment where you realized, I need to start loving myself, I need to change, I need to let go of this maybe identity? What was that one moment?
You know, Lessa, we hit the 20-year goal. My ex-husband and I, we purchased land to build our dream home, and we did it. And it took me back to the young girl that was sitting in this apartment on 8th and 8th and asking, you know, where are we going to be 20 years from now? And I realized just how proud I was that we did it, that we both persevered and never lost sight of wanting to be successful in the way that felt structural. There was a tangible goal, and we finally signed and were able to do it. But I realized that I was more in tune with the intangible. The fact that we were able to get there was more important to me over what was going to be created from us signing that document. And I couldn't I couldn't do that to him. I couldn't continue to live and enjoy all the luxuries of life that we worked so hard to get to if I wasn't being genuine in the way that I was coming into the relationship loving someone. So I think that was the point, Lessa, that okay, maybe we can do this a little bit differently. You know, maybe we can co-parent, we can own the home, live together, do something so unconventional, which we did. Um, it was very unconventional for society, our culture, traditions, very painful for the families, but it worked for us. It worked for me. It worked for my children. And I was just waiting for 2024 because now life changes in a very different way. And I feel kind of free, liberated completely.
Hmm. Yeah, so it's beautiful to see that, basically with the book and the storytelling and people and the executives sharing about their childhood and kind of like taking off the mask, so to speak, and then you're also doing the same. So you're all in the same journey in a way.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, and I think that corporations now, less that everywhere, um, they're looking at storytelling as a foundation for their companies because what they want is they want that personal brand. They want the best of someone, all of them in their raw, authentic way to come to the table and perform, knowing that there are traumas people come with, there are, they're carrying pain from experiences, but being open to accepting that by being open and willing to hear it when you're hiring people into your organization, when you're an executive and you have a team, the more authentic you can be with what you're experiencing and how you feel is the more authentic your team will be. And so, as a united unit, our personal and professional lives, once you integrate them so closely, you're actually more successful. You measure success in a different way. You have this kind of collective, collaborative unit. And that's what the 20 executives and I felt is we felt connected because of what we're sharing. And yet we all work for 20 different companies.
It's basically really the allowing to be vulnerable.
Yeah.
I think that's really, really the key. And throughout that process, we will come to a point where we don't need to fear anymore. We don't need to think about what other people will think because we kind of reach that core within us, the true self. But for that to come through, it could be years of vulnerability where we kind of letting go of the old beliefs, the old identities. But it's I think what you're also sharing is it's so worth it because then we're really living our lives completely.
Right.
The more raw and real I am, the more, you know, it couldn't, if that inspires one other person to be a little bit like that, or it touches people in some ways, that's everything.
When you're in the right energy in yourself and you love yourself and you know your self worth and you know what you bring to the table, that hyper independent type of outlook is beneficial because you will never let yourself down. And that's what I had to learn the hard way over almost 5 years is I need to be able to be accepted and appreciated and worthy of anyone in my life who chooses to journey with me. But it starts with me. So if I can be, open and honest about why I feel worthy to myself and why I love myself, then it's easier for others to come into my life and say, we want to do the same. We want to see you and journey with you and get to know you, Reena, beyond your bio. We want to be a part of what your life is. And so
Yes.
it was hard getting there for me, but now I feel like I'm there. Like I'm finally open. I'm open to that now.
Beautiful. It's kind of like we attract what we are, in a way, that when we love ourselves in a deeper way and
Mhm.
when we are more open, more people come into our lives with the same like energy or frequency, whatever you call it. So it really starts within. It starts with the one you see in the mirror. It will take a long time to kind of project that into the world, and the world needs to change, or parents need to change, or partner needs to change. It really truly starts within, and I've seen that so many times in my life that it's just kind of like, oh, I'm just gonna try to fix these things on this outside, and ch- but it every time I can see, every time I take a deeper step within and facing my own sadness, grief, traumas, or whatever, that doing that, it completely changes my reality in a way, how I relate to the world and other people, and then people see me differently as well. So it really starts from within. I can only agree on that.
I can speak to the South Asian culture because I'm Punjabi, but it's we're not accustomed to talking about our emotions, what's working, what's not. Um, it's very role based, like many cultures. Um, but our South Asian culture is very role based. And so we need to perform, in the roles that we have, which are multiple identities. As a result of that,
Yes,
when you're trying to fulfill those multiple identities and those multiple relationships in the way that you're told you're supposed to, you lose yourself along the way because you just don't know who you are anymore.
exactly.
So,
Yes.
that is, there's nothing scarier than to look in the mirror and think, okay, who am I? What am I doing? I love my work.
I love my work, but
I love my children. I think this is what I
yeah,
want in life.
yeah,
But it's funny. I believe in the power of manifestation, and I used to be in this mindset. Well, why am I not manifesting what I want? Why is this not working? What am I doing wrong? And the thing is, the universe can't deliver what you're looking for unless you make room for it to come in. And I had no room in my life for anything or anyone to enter. I had to make those choices. And the moment I did, everything changed. And I met these incredible people, and the doors opening to some beautiful people and relationships in my life that I probably wouldn't have had the opportunity to be a part of and, possibly enjoy if I hadn't made some of those tough decisions. So it's tough in the moment, but it catches up to you and says, here you go. You did it. You did the hard work, and now you're being rewarded.
yes, yes. That's beautiful. I think there's so many ways to do, to become more aligned with our true selves. Years back, I did a 10 days Vipassana. I don't know if you know
Yeah.
what that is, but it's kind of like a meditation retreat
Oh, okay.
for 10 days, you're basically, I think, meditating like 10 or 12 hours a day. And you're doing that with a lot of people. I think we were like 100 people in that center. That was in Sweden, out in nature.
Wow.
And the interesting thing is that you cannot bring your phone, you cannot have eye contact with anyone there.
Wow.
Um, and if you have some kind of a special diet or books, you basically could not bring anything. So it almost like, for most people, it sounds like going into a prison, but it was really beautiful, kind of like a cold turkey to to be in that environment, and just kind of like really letting go of all these layers of identity and work and all the things I thought I needed. It was actually so liberating. So when I was done those 10 not 10 years, 10 days, I was crying. I was just kind of like, I don't want to leave this, because this is like the most amazing space to be in, just completely open and being so connected with everything, the whole world, all the people there, and just thinking about going back to my life. It's just like, it doesn't make sense. This kind of why I'm living life this way. I want to live more from this open space. So yeah, I really love that journey.
That's beautiful.
Very inspiring.
That's beautiful. So it's probably changed you. Like that experience in itself for you has probably changed you and made you who you are today as a result.
Yes, it was for 10 days, like the amount of knowledge and getting to know myself, my patterns, everything that would come up, everything that would show,
Mm.
it was it was it was it was mind-blowing, and something that I could truly recommend to anyone, just as an experiment. Just as an experiment, because I think it's easy to think that, oh, I am so developed, I'm amazing, or I all these things. But when you get out of your usual environment, or you look into the mirror for a long time, all of a sudden something else might show up. And I think that's a good way of doing it, kind of really stepping out of the comfort zone, so to speak, and 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 just saying yes to change.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, good for you. And that's not easy to address, right? I think once we address the changes that need to happen with ourselves, then it gets a little bit easier as you could journey on to see all the things that need to change, and you're quicker to make those changes as a result.
Yes. When you have this kind of inner flexibility, that it doesn't need to be like this and that, and letting go of control, and then also saying hello to anxiety, because when we let go of control, that's where the anxiety comes up. We feel like, oh, I'm almost dying, what's going on here? But we're just letting go of what we've been holding on to, and it seems so wrong to have all this anxiety, but it's truly just saying, I'm outside of my comfort zone, I'm expanding my territory, my inside territory, and it's actually good. So the way that I look at anxiety is not that there's something wrong. It's more like, whoa, I'm on an edge here in within myself, and this is a gift. This is a blessing that I can actually I can actually grow as a human being in this moment, instead of closing down and holding on to the past.
Right. That takes a lot of strength. Lessa, that takes a lot of inside work and a lot of strength to be able to get there.
Yeah, but I think that's what we are all doing, and some people are just not aware of it, and you really don't need to be aware of it. But it's also for people who are struggling with that, they could benefit from knowing how to do it, how to be more open, how to be more vulnerable.
Yeah.
And I think that's what I see in the world, that there's just so many people struggling, and I think that's also the beauty about this book. You're kind of seeing a different perspective of a successful executive or any business owner, basically, that on the outside it looks like, wow, they are so happy, they're attracting all this wealth or all these successful people. But but we all made of the same. We all have doubts in our life, and
Mhm.
we all have anxiety, depression. It's a human condition we all have. So we all a part of it. And I think when we recognize that, live our life from there and become one instead of having a professional persona and then a private persona as well. That's what I see, and I see that in my own journey, that it's just all about let everything become one. The entrepreneur is just me. It's not me and being an entrepreneur. It's just I'm just I'm just me.
Right. And so fully accepting and so beautifully loved in your own way. You're loving yourself and you're accepting yourself. And because of that, it's easy for others to want to do the same. You
Hmm.
bring that energy to the table, like you can feel it.
Yeah. Let's say if you're in front of someone who doesn't love themselves, don't like themselves, and lack of confidence, what is the one advice that you will give to that person?
So the executive coaching side of my business, it's an arm of my business that is working directly with executives who are at their 20-year mark and making these big changes in life. Um, and the advice I always give is you need to rip off that band-aid. And it's advice that I haven't taken until recently myself. Um, but you have to rip off that band-aid because there's usually just one thing you're sitting on that is keeping you together. And you really don't want to go there. You don't want to address it. Once you make a decision, everything's going to change. And there's always a common thing, let's say, for people to be able to take the next step towards their success as an entrepreneur or business owner, or where they choose to journey to next in their professional career. If they can't fix the inside, by ripping off that band-aid, it's going to come off eventually down the road, and it's going to affect the new journey that they're on. It's going to affect what they believe is success and not success for them.
Yeah,
Success is already the fact that they made the decision to do something different. That in itself should be celebrated. But to be able to see the fruits of their labor and celebrate what's about to come for them, they have to do the inside work. And so I always talk about that from a psychological standpoint to my clients is we really need to work on the values, the core values, your purpose. And who's in your life that's making sure that you can do it? Because I did that for 20 years. And I saw what I needed to do as a partner to be able to ensure that success was reached in that relationship. So I wouldn't want anyone not to be able to reach that if they don't have the right people in their lives to make that happen.
true. One thing is making a change within and on your own, but it just really helps when you have some kind of community or people around that actually really want to see you shine, who actually really want to see you change. Because the truth is, a lot of people around you, they actually don't want to see you change, because then you're changing the relationship also, right? We all have this kind of investment in each other. If someone is changing too much, then all of a sudden, whoa, I'm losing that person because he's changing or she's changing. But I think that's the true friendship, or the true companion is really someone who really only want to see you shine no matter what.
Mhm. Absolutely. And we all need that in our life, right? And I had
Yes.
that corporately. I always had that. I had my mentors, my role models. I was changing roles with different companies every 2 or 3 years because there was so much I wanted to learn. I didn't want to become monotonous or complacent. I wanted to continue to develop skill sets that I knew I couldn't unless I moved. So I became very agile in learning how to um, make sure that I was open to accepting new organizations and learning how to use my brand to help them. It was the personal, but on personal side, we need that as well. We really do. We need a team.
think that's really the benefits of, you know, having a mentor in your life, having a coach. Like I just seen those, you know, mentors I've had in my life, you know, they're completely, you know, changed my life, whether it's professionally or even like therapist or, you know, coaches and stuff like that.
Mhm.
Yeah, that it can really make a difference to be with someone who walked the talk, or who've been there. So it's easy to learn from them, and I find that very valuable. I always followed my passion throughout my whole life. Like everything that I really felt passionate about, something that was almost like a calling to do, I always did that. And then it would change 3 years later. So it's like, what I thought I was so passionate about this. Why does it change? But I can just see throughout my whole life that I've just been building so many different skills, and you know, being a therapist, or being in sales, or starting online business, starting a video production company, etc., etc. That I can just see that it's just kind of life is just teaching me so many different skills, and now I'm at a point where I'm just like it makes sense for me to just, you know, be that mentor coach for other people, to help and support them throughout their life and career as well. It's just a natural step that because I see so many people out there, you know, not having the confidence to start their own business, or don't know how to be creative, or don't know how to be in a video, or run ads and stuff like that. So there's a big need out there for a lot of people to help them really achieving their life purpose and doing what they really feel passionate about, and even bringing that into the world as a business.
Like, this is really hard for me. This is really my business is behind when I say behind the screens, I like writing. I like being behind the screens. Putting photos and advertising using the use of social media, I understand fully why and how important it is for entrepreneurs. And that is really hard. And this video, this what we're doing today is this is really hard for me because it's not something that I saw myself doing. Um, it's not something that, I felt confident enough to do. Um, and but again, I keep thinking, well, it's not about me. It's about making a difference in the world. It's about Make a Wish Canada. It's about these incredible 20 executives that put their stories out there. I was given a task. I was asked to do something clearly in this life at this stage that I'm supposed to go forward with. So this is why I'm here. It's not about any of my insecurities on being on camera or any of my, lack of confidence. I have to get over that.
Yeah, I'll just let it take its time, but still move forward no matter what.
Mhm.
Yeah, but I think you're really hitting the nail here. Is that it's not about getting anything. It's just all about what am I good at? Serving. It's not about me. I'm just a vehicle. I'm just in a body. But you're just expressing something that will help other people to become a better version of themselves.
I hope so. I hope so, Lessa. I hope, I can't, I am who I am. My decisions predominantly are normally for the best of who I can be as a person, not even as a woman, but as a human, and as a mom to my children, so I can continue to model what I hopefully will see in them when it comes to humanity as well. Um, but I don't always get it right. I hurt people as well. My emotions get the best of me, and I'm human. It happens. But I do hope that there's always an opportunity for people who are meant to connect and meant to be in each other's lives to come together and be a part of it in the right way. Because I've seen so many people walk away from great relationships or, an opportunity to be the best version of themselves because they just couldn't take that leap, take that next step. And it's
Yes.
sad. It's sad because you can almost, like I said, Lessa, like you can see, I know where this is going. I know what it could be. It's for the best of your higher good, and it'll profoundly change you. And I do this on the coaching side is I can't make that decision for you. You need to go and do that. But I personally, I would much rather take a loss and take a rejection than live with the thought of regret because that'll keep me up at night. I don't have enough ego to be sitting and thinking, I don't want to risk this because of rejection. I would rather risk everything and know an answer than sit and think, what if?
I love that. That's willingness. That's commitment. That's um, that's the yes to life. I see that's kind of like the yes. I love the movie. I think it's called Yes Man with Jim Carrey, where he's just like he just starts saying yes to everything in life. He was living like he was just so depressed, and then all of a sudden he's just started saying yes to everything, and that opens him so much that he starts giving his money away. He he says yes to so many funny things, but then all of a sudden his openness towards life brings him a girlfriend. Like you can see that it's a step by step by saying yes, just get out of the comfort zone. It's a good example of just being that yes and just saying, okay, I'm gonna do it. Maybe it's gonna hurt me. Maybe I won't survive tomorrow, but I'm just gonna do this. So I love that. Why did you choose Make a Wish to be the charitable foundation to
I think,
for all of this?
you know, Lessa, Make a Wish Foundation is, I think, functioning in over 50 countries across the globe. And I felt, albeit, Canada, my company is Canadian, so it's registered as a Canadian company. Um, the donations are going to Make a Wish Canada. I felt that if I chose this charitable organization, my executives would feel that they're a part of it because there is an equivalent arm of that foundation in their own country. So, in a way, they're contributing not just to Canada, but they're contributing to the overall foundation in their own country in some way as well.
So all the money from this book will go to Make a Wish.
Absolutely, indefinitely. As long as the book continues to have interest, our publisher will always be on hand to publish the number of copies we need, and 100% of whatever is purchased will be donated um, to Make a Wish Canada every year. It'll be an annual thing as long as Agile is executive consulting and as long as the book is alive.
That's amazing. So how does it feel to be releasing a book with all these stories, and all the nations gonna go to kids struggling?
Yeah. You know,
How does it feel?
Lessa, my daughter has it's a very common genetic disorder. It's called strabismus. And in our days, it was strabismus is the medical term for lazy eye. And, it was detected when she was 6 months old. And so, as a result of that, she has struggled her entire life. Um, she has overcome, though, all of those struggles because of this condition. Um, So I think her journey, when I look at my daughter and when she was young, couldn't understand how to talk to me about what she was going through, what she was seeing and unable to see. The Alberta Children's Hospital became like a second home. And so for us, like for me specifically as a mom, to see her, go to her annual checkups and have the Children's Hospital be so significantly a part of our own lives, it gave her the confidence every time she would go there that she was doing better and better and, saved herself another year of surgery. We don't have to do surgery. She just kept getting stronger and stronger the more she felt that she knew how to manage this condition without the need for surgical intervention. Um, this is a success story because 2024 was the year that now she's spent 17 years as an outpatient and was just recently released as an outpatient. I mean, she did it. She She did this journey for almost 17 years, surgery free, and learned how to cope with a condition that will be a part of her life. But she's navigated the challenges and figured out what to do to still be that beautiful old soul that she is and still live life to the fullest that how she's living it. Make a Wish Canada, the reason it's impacted me is because these are children with critical illnesses. So we don't know um, how long they're going to live. So what they're asking is for, we'd like one of our wishes granted. And I think that that's the least we can do is offer these children an opportunity to live out the dream that they want, not knowing if tomorrow will still be there for them. So I feel very grateful, and I'm not religious, but I thank anyone from above who's been blessing my daughter and from afar, who's been sending her blessings to be able to overcome, again, a condition that is well known. But Make a Wish Canada, we can actually help them and help the parents and give a community of support in some way by giving these children the opportunity to also live out a wish. So that's kind of where, my heart was kind of pulling me to. So
It's beautiful. I love it. Love it, and I can't wait to read the book.
thank you. It's
Very
beautiful.
very happy for you, and it's just beautiful.
Beautiful.
Um, you know, being a part of this journey, and also your willingness to share your own life and the life of the executives as well. I think it really shines through that you're stepping into something completely new, on a personal level, but also in a professional level as well. So it's gonna be an amazing year.
I think so. I am so excited, Lessa. I can't even, I just feel it and I just know it that this is going to be just a significant year in so many ways. And I'm so looking forward to it.
Where do you envision yourself 5 years from now? Do you have any sense of where you're heading, or do you have like a vision of what's coming?
You know, I don't plan at all that far in advance anymore. And it's because I know I can do it. If I planned something 20 years, I became so stubborn and, determined and ambitious to reach that 20-year goal. But I lost
Yes.
myself along the way.
Yes.
That now I don't even look that far in advance. I think I'm going to look and take it day by day and have some, exciting things ahead that I'd like to try, but I have to ground myself and bring myself home. And I have to remind myself who I am, where I am. Is this really what I want? Am I bringing the best version of myself to me before I can bring the best version of myself to someone else? So these are things, these are lessons that I had to learn.
I love it. And it reminds me a little bit about what we talked about earlier, like having this flexibility, so to speak. So instead of fixating our lives towards, I need to be successful with this business or anything we're doing in 3 years or 5 years, and then it's gonna be maybe such a struggle to just get to that fixed point instead of just losing it all up and kind of changing it as it goes.
Mhm.
To, I think that will really bring you a way more happier life, and and free life, because then it's not about the result, it's not about getting somewhere, but it's just more about just being true and who you are, and being flexible, so to speak, to change.
Absolutely. I don't want anyone to suffer or miss out on opportunities that could be there for them because they're on a path determined on a long term goal. I've been there, and although it's been successful, I kind of feel like there's a different way to get there. there's a more authentic way for yourself to get there. So I agree 100% with you.
Okay, so Reena, the last question to you is if you would give any advice to the young Reena, the entrepreneur, if you were to look her into the eyes just before she would be starting on this entrepreneurial journey from the version of you now, like what advice would you give her?
My advice would be no different than what I tell my children is there is no role or societal norms or memo or program that we should be following outside of what our soul and our heart is guiding us to do. And it may not work in a family unit, it may not work for what we see that's conventional, but if it works for you, I will support you. I will always be there to make sure that you're happy and satisfied and content and growing. Because when I look at the woman and the young girl, um, she was growing. Was she happy? Probably not. Was she doing well? Phenomenally. But I wasn't doing what my life purpose, what I feel, what I should be doing, which is what I'm doing right now. So I've grieved her. I've mourned the loss of her, and it's okay. It happens. I'm okay with that.
Yeah. So what you're saying is just really unconditionally allowing your younger version of yourself to just really be true to her heart, true to who she is.
Mhm.
That's really the message here, that just don't let the world, family, society, anyone really make you believe in what you need to be or become, but just really listening within and finding that true self and just be unconditionally given to that. And then the path will show.
Absolutely. I'm not immune, and I don't want to sound, you know, I guess I don't want to be. I don't want to come across as what I'm saying sounds so easy. I'm not immune to people's circumstances, and it's easy to become a victim to your circumstances. And not everyone has the
Yes.
support to be able to get out of the circumstances that they're in. So I don't want anyone to believe that what I'm saying is easily achieved. I'm fully and 100% aware of the fact that time, um, maybe some prayer, can change your circumstances if you're willing to put in the work to try to change them,
Hmm.
help, support, reaching out. So I I hope that no one ever feels like they're a victim of their circumstances, and if they can find it within themselves to be strong enough to overcome that in whichever way they can. I would be the first to fully support them in any way I can.
Yes. Beautiful. But Rena, it's been um, amazing talking to you today.
Thank you.
And I wish you all the best with the book. I'm very excited for you and all the amazing things that you're doing in this with this project. So yeah, is there anything else you want to share?
Last now, it's been a wonderful meeting with you. I thank you for your support. I know Make a Wish Canada thanks you just for being so supportive and incredible with your coming out and interviewing me and wanting to be a part of this project. It means a lot to us. So thank you for being a part of our
Oh,
team.
my pleasure. My pleasure.